Okay. All right. So obviously this brand is a big push for Beam Suntory. And when we talk about it, we really want to cover some basics and is how it's pronounced. I don't know if the people that are going to be doing the event are Spanish speakers, but like obviously, for people that don't speak Spanish, it can be a little complicated to say the name of a brand. So I always try and really encourage people to say it the whole thing. Like we want to walk away from people saying TG or 3Gs or Tres Gens or just Tres, because this is a brand that has been around for over 50 years and we really should honor that. No, I mean, it's not like a new brand, has been around for a long time, and like there's a lot of history behind the brand. So every time that we chop the name and we just call it like 3Gs or Tres, we're really just like chopping the heritage and the legacy of a brand. So we really want people to say Tres Generaciones, and take their time. It doesn't have to be like super fast when they pronounce it, but it's important for them to know how to pronounce the brand. Okay, we don't want anyone to say, oh, this is 3Gs or Tres Gens, because that's not the name of the brand. So I will encourage them to do that. Something interesting that is happening right now, I mean, like I feel like everyone that has eyes and goes out from time to time realize that tequila is super hot. It's a category that it's growing rapidly, like double digits across the country. And it's kind of insane to think about that it's larger than bourbon in the US right now. I mean, obviously the US produced bourbon, like that's what America is all about. And like then we have like tequila, that people are drinking more tequila than bourbon, which is kind of insane, but that's a reality right now. So with that being said, a lot of people are getting very savvy around it. They follow websites like Tequila Matchmaker, where they can find all the information about how brands are made and ratings and stuff like that. And they feel like because they have access to that they know everything. So it's important that whoever is going to represent the brand in that event like knows or try to like understand a little bit more the category and like this complexity, because people are going to ask them questions. And they don't have to know everything because they're not like tequila experts, but like it's good to know like, what the brand is all about and be able to answer some key questions. Okay. So in this case in particular, this is a super premium tequila, which is like the category that is growing the most. People are walking away from tequilas that are made with other types of sugars besides the blue agave. And like try to go into the 100% tequila, 100% agave tequilas, which is like the premium category, But to talk about Tres Generaciones, we really have to talk about history. And this might not be like super engaging for some people, but it really is what set us apart from other tequila producers. I mean, there's like more than 2,700 tequila brands that exist right now. Like just last year, 316 brands were launched in the market, which is insane when it's almost like one brand per day. So it's growing like nonstop, and the reality is that there's a lot of like brands that are just a product of a bunch of creative people in an office saying like, hey, I want to have a tequila brand. It's not very difficult to travel to Mexico, get together with tequila producers and buy the product already made by these producers in Mexico, put it in a very fancy bottle. Maybe they have access to a partnership with Shakira or Beyonce or Brad Pitt or whatever. And then boom, they put out there a tequila brand. So that's why there's like so many celebrities with tequila brands, because it's very easy. Like Kevin Hart, like Mark Wahlberg, Eva Longoria, all these people have like absolutely no idea what tequila production entitles. They have no idea what it's behind everything. They just kind of like sometimes just put their name on it and buy the product in bulk, and they put it in a fancy bottle and they try to take advantage of their fame and like sell it, and that's fine. I mean, that's okay. It's just a phenomenon that is like happening right now. But what is really interesting is finding brands that have been around for a long, long time, which is the case of Tres Generaciones. So when we talk about the brand, we want to talk about history because this is what makes us special. Okay, there's a bunch of brands out there, but like very few can say that they're coming from a distillery that have been making tequila for 150 years. Okay, so we really want to focus on history and this. And then like how this brand was born. So I mentioned before that this brand has been around for 50 years. It was launched in 1973, and it was launched by Francisco Javier Sousa, who is the third generation of the Sousa family, who are the founders of the distillery. The name of the distillery is La Perseverancia. And this distillery was founded in 1873. I mean, we have to think that in 1873, there was, you know, not understanding of a category. Actually, tequila wasn't even called tequila. It was called the wine of the mezcal. And nobody called it tequila, even though it was produced in Tequila Town in Jalisco. So Tequila is actually a town in Jalisco state. Jalisco produces 96% of all the tequila brands that you will see in the market. So very, very important state, and the focus of all tequila production. So in 1873, people were producing and distilling this spirit from blue agave, but they were calling it the wine of the mezcal. And there was like not a lot of like recognition, and it was not necessarily like the Mexican symbol that it is today, no? But flash forward 100 years after, the third generation of the Sousa family decided to elevate tequila category, because during all that period, actually in the 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, tequila was not well perceived by Mexican people. Like Mexican people with money were buying brandies, were buying whiskeys, but they were not messing around with tequila, because tequila had the fame of being very harsh, be very strong, not refined enough. So people were just like trying to gravitate towards imported goods, like things that were coming from Europe, that had a little bit more of like a status. And tequila was just left for like the poor people in town that didn't have access to brandies and better quality spirits in that moment. So in the 70s, this third generation of the Sousa family wanted to change that. I mean, he was very proud to know that his family was making tequila for 100 years. And he was very proud of being Mexican. He was very proud that this spirit was very specific from his town, from the place that he was born and raised. So he wanted to like bring tequila to a bigger status. So he decided to take one of his tequila batches and triple distill that batch. And the result was very smooth, very approachable, almost like feminine. It was not like a slap in your face like other tequilas were in that moment. They were very high in alcohol, very poorly distilled. And this batch that he created was very elegant. So he took that batch that he triple distilled, he put it in a barrel for a year. And after he tasted it after that year, he was like, wow, this is another thing. Like no one was making tequilas añejos in that moment. It was not like, now that you see that every single tequila brand has a reposado and an añejo. Back then, like most of the tequilas that were consumed were blancos, so unaged tequilas. But this one was aged, and this one was triple distilled. So it was very, very special. He took that and he decided to bottle it in this ceramic decanter that you see in the photo. And put it in a leather box with this beautiful glassware that had gold leaf around, in a way to tell people like, hey, this is a product that you want to sip. This is a product that you want to take your time to enjoy. This is not a product that you want to do shots and get wasted with. This is something that you want to appreciate, like the fine things in life. This is something like it's closer to a brandy or a whiskey than anything else. So take your time to enjoy it, And this was a very, very different way of drinking tequila in that moment. So we can say really that this is like one of the first ultra premium añejos ever made, and the ultra premium like luxury tequila brands ever produce. Okay, talking about again 1973. So this was very disruptive, and they made this product de añejo, so it was aged for 12 months minimum, a year. They made this product for 30, I think 33 or 34 years exclusively. At the beginning, it was just like, hey, let's launch this to celebrate 100 years of family. But, that's about it. Like they thought about it like as a limited time only kind of product. They didn't think about it um, as a product that will be made many, many years after. They thought like, oh, this is just going to be one batch and that's it. But people loved it so much and it was so special that they decided to keep making it. And they make the añejo exclusively for 30 something years. Then in early 2000, I think 2004 and 2006, they start producing the plata and the reposado. So the añejo always has been like the flagship of the brand and the most important of the SKUs that we have. But jumping a little bit back in time really quick, because I'm not expecting, the ambassadors to learn all this, but like at least have the reference that there were 3 generations behind this brand. The first one was Zenobio Sousa that founded the distillery where still we make the tequila. We haven't stopped making tequila in the same place for 150 years, which is way longer than a lot of other producers can say. I mean, for example, Don Julio have been making it for like 70 something years. This is almost like double, actually more than double of the time making tequila in the same spot. So it's definitely important. Zenobio Sousa was the first one to bring tequila to United States. He was the first one to put in the label tequila, the word tequila. So this is made in Tequila Town. And actually, because of this, people start calling the product tequila. So he pretty much named tequila because before that, it was called the wine of the mezcal or vino de mezcal. So very important contributions to tequila history. Then the second generation, Eladio, took over the company when the Mexican Revolution was happening. And he pretty quickly understood that the moment that he was living in was a moment of like Mexican pride. They wanted to be more Mexicans than ever. They wanted to be recognized as independent. They wanted to like define their identity. And he thought that making tequila like a symbol of the Mexican Revolution and a symbol of independence, somehow will ended up helping him and helping Mexico overall to identify as an independent country that was producing this very special product that nowhere else in the world was produced. So he really pushed for that. He really helped to establish tequila as the national drink in Mexico. And he was a very smart guy. He opened the first nightclub in Tequila Town. He had a radio station as well, where he was using both of these outlets as a way to promote his brands and everything that his family was making. So, very smart move and like really push the category forward. And then Francisco Javier Sousa, who was the one that founded Tres Generaciones to celebrate the legacy of his family, 100 years of tequila production experience, was also a person that like contribute a lot to tequila as an overall category. He was actually he's considered the first tequila ambassador. He traveled all over the world. He did a lot of trade shows everywhere in Europe, in Asia, trying to take the tequila as a product to other places for people to taste it. And no one knew what tequila was. So he was like, just like in a trade show with a table, like giving people samples of tequila and telling people like, hey, this is kind of like the whiskey of Mexico. Give it a try, like, and try to explain what they were doing. So it was kind of like a big deal. And he actually, after one of those travels, he realized that in Japan, they were making an agave distillate. And he came back to Mexico and was like, you know what, we really have to push for the denomination of origin. We have to establish and make official to the world that Mexico is the only country that can produce tequila. And this is part of our identity. This is a spirit of a nation. So let's push forward for this. So he organized a lot of tequila producers. They signed petitions. They pushed the Mexican government, and they ended up getting the denomination of origin. So maybe your ambassadors know, maybe don't, but tequila only can be produced in Mexico. There's no other country in the world that can produce tequila. Okay, so this was definitely important for the history of this family and the brand overall. So in terms of the portfolio, we have 3 different products. We're not going to be tasting Cristalino this year in any of the events. So we can focus just on the Plata, the Reposado, and the Añejo. The Plata, or Blanco, as other producers call their silver tequila, their unaged tequila. It's a product that goes directly from the distillation to the bottle. So first we take our blue agave. It takes between 6 and 7 years for the agave to reach maturity. We're going to process the agave. We're going to use a gentle extraction to extract the juices of the agave. Then we're going to cook the juice of the agave, and then we're going to ferment with proprietary yeast. And then after the fermentation, we're going to go to the distillation. That is what makes this product very smooth and very approachable. We use a triple distillation, just the same way that Francisco Javier Sousa did in the 70s. We triple distill the product, so we leave kind of like the heart of the distillation to bring a very agave forward kind of profile. This is going to be spicy, peppery, earthy, vegetal, very citrus in the nose, and also peppery in the nose. And it's really a really good representation of what agave from the valley of tequila tastes like. Spicy, earthy, and very citrus in the nose. And then this, of course, is not aged at all. It just goes from distillation to the bottle. And then we have the Reposado that is aged for 4 months in toasted American oak barrels. These barrels were not used for bourbon before. They weren't used for anything else before. They're made especially for us. We toast them a little bit, so we take some color out of it and bring like that, but still kind of respect the peppery finish that it has. It just adds a little bit of color because of those 4 months in the cask. But this is pretty much like a rounded version of the Plata. And then we have the Añejo that is aged for at least 1 year in the same toasted American oak barrels. So no bourbon barrels, no cognac barrels, nothing that was used before. It was just a fresh barrel, brand new, toasted, and then we put the tequila in there and we let it rest. And then I feel like this slide and the next one are gonna be like key for the ambassadors to learn or like to review before the event. What we call the key reasons to believe, or like how we like try to promote the brand, is like number one, the legacy. I mean, there's like a heritage in there that like not a lot of brands out there can say that they have. 150 years of distilling experience in La Perseverancia, to the point where where this product was launched, it was 100 years. This brand itself has been in the market for 50 years. So there's a lot of like legacy history out there. People know the brand, especially in Mexico. Here we're trying to like re-educate people because after the package change and everything, honestly, we're kind of like back to zero. But in Mexico is very well known. So I feel like that's the number one thing, no? Two, the fresh and agave forward profile. Like this is a product that is truly, because it's using agaves only from the lowlands of Jalisco or from Tequila Valley, has that character very pronounced, that spiciness, earthiness is very agave forward. And I feel like the fact that we also use new barrels, it could be a good selling point, because we're not making a tequila that tastes like whiskey. We don't want to make a tequila that tastes like something else. We want to make a tequila that tastes just like agave. The fact that it's triple distill and makes it very smooth is another hook for consumers, especially. And here is what I call the elevator pitch. I mean, if we have just 1 minute to talk about the brand to someone in the event, what I would like them to say is like, hey, Tres Generaciones is a tequila that has 50 years of legacy, was one of the first true luxury tequilas, one of the first añejos ever produced, is coming from a distillery that has been making tequila for 150 years. This product is triple distill. We only use the heart of the distillation to deliver a very smooth, approachable, very agave-forward flavor profile. This is a product that is versatile. It's great for cocktails, but it's great for sipping as well. The Plata is unaged. triple distill and then go to the bottle. Then we have the reposado that is aged for 4 months. And then we have the añejo that is aged for at least a year in new American oak barrels that were toasted just to release a lot of the vanillin and the tannins that are content in there, but without making a tequila that tastes like whiskey. This is a tequila that tastes like agave, and that's what we want to celebrate. And this is just like as an FYI. I mean, we have a lot of green initiatives. We use between 50 and 60% of recycled glass for packaging. We combine the leftovers of agave fibers and all the solids after the production, and for our water treatment facility. So we also try to use fertilizers that are like natural and nothing like that is GMO or anything like that. We were the first tequila company that implement a water treatment facility to treat all the water waste of our process. And we change from oil to natural gas for all the boiling part, for the boilers and all that to generate heat for the production. And we've been awarded by Mexico for many years for all these green initiatives. And that's that. There's other slides in here if they want to revise this information, but I don't really think a lot of people will ask them about this. I would say maybe they can read these before if they are into it, if they want to learn a little bit more. But I feel like this is the key that we want them to learn and know, kind of like word by word. I mean, not word by word, but like the whole idea of it, because this is like when you have just a minute to talk to customers, this is what we want them to talk about.